Welcome to a very special concert vlog. Tonight I am seeing one of my favourite two bands ever. The other band is Thin Lizzy, but if you've clicked on this video, you know that I am talking about Incubus. I've loved everything that Incubus have done from their really early days when they were doing like Fungus and Mungus and Science, and they sounded kind of like a cross between like Korn and Chili Peppers with a little bit of Primus, right through to like their most recent album, like their most recent original album, 8, which I actually went to see kind of like the live tour for, or at least I saw them on tour in 2018 right after they released 8. It was, I don't know if it was specifically for that album because I think they came to London like the year before that. But anyway, the album that is the focus tonight is arguably their most recognizable and definitely one of my favorite. That is Morning View, which they have recently, I say recently, it was last year, they re-recorded with like a whole sort of new arrangements based on how they've changed things over the years when they've played them live. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one. They're playing that in full and they're playing like some additional hits afterwards. So yeah, tonight, looking forward to a very good concert. As for the weekend itself, I found out literally the other day that this weekend happens to be the London Marathon. And we had planned to spend a bit of a weekend in London. Probably still will do that, but it's going to be fun trying to get through all the crowds tomorrow. As such, I'm not really planning on filming on trains as much as I usually do, but it would be nice to capture some of our time around London. As you can probably tell from the lack of footage between earlier and now, it was very busy getting here today. Literally, the train was packed, and then obviously going through Victoria, going through Westfield. The only quiet moment we got was literally a couple of moments on the Central line, getting sort of to Stratford. But we're in the hotel now, and we have an amazing view actually. Probably one of the best views I've had at any hotel in London. I mean, it's not like spectacular, it's mostly a car park and stuff, but we can see sort of to the right the Olympic Park as you look out the window, and I'll show it to you in a bit. And just right over there, sort of Canary Wharf, just to the left a little bit, you can see the very tip of the Shard. I'll show it all to you in a bit, it's very cool. But let's talk about the thing that we're here for, which is Incubus, because I haven't really explained my relationship with this band. So Incubus I got into years ago. I remember it was around the time, I think Megalomaniac was the song that had just come out, and then it was sort of Talk Shows on Mute, and I was like, oh, this band's kind of interesting. Got into them a little bit, but it was always kind of lukewarm. I never really like dived in. And then it was a few years later, I was, we're talking like 2007, 2008, when everyone was on MSN. And, I'd be up late. I was like a late teenager at this point, right? So, what would I have been, like 18, 19? You'd be up late on MSN, chatting to whoever was on at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're just listening to music that you want to have like a chill vibe to. And like I knew that Incubus could do heavy stuff. Like I said, the first thing that I got into was Megalomaniac. But mostly I knew Incubus very early on for scratching that same itch that Placebo songs tend to. So you'd have songs like Talk Shows on Mute, Drive, Echo, that kind of thing. And I remember sort of, asking someone like once at about like 2 o'clock in the morning, look, this is a list of songs that I already listened to, like, can you recommend anything else? And they suggested to me Aqueous Transmissions. And so I go and find that on YouTube, and I'm listening to that and absolutely loving it. You know, 7.5 minutes or whatever it is of bliss with like shamisen and crickets and stuff. It's a very cool song if you haven't already heard it. And from that, I decided I need to go and listen to more of this band. I need to get like CDs, because I was still using CDs predominantly then. I need to get CDs of this band and have them in my car. And I remember going to like HMV and looking everywhere, week in, week out, thinking that they were just out of stock of Incubus. Like, they just never seemed to have it in. And, you know, I'd go through the eyes and I'd get like to Idlewild, and then whatever came after that, and then I'd just go down, down, down. Next thing would be In Excess. And I'm like, why is there just literally no Incubus anywhere? And so I just kind of gave up for a while. And it was only months later, when I was sort of looking through again, I was looking for something else in like the metal section, and it just so happened to be sort of in the middle, so like that sort of like, I don't know, I can't remember what it was. It might have been Iron Maiden, actually. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? That's In the Eyes. And I remember just sort of looking through different Iron Maiden albums, and then literally along the shelf, right near it, was Incubus. And I was like, oh, it's in the metal section, because I never saw them as a metal band. And so I bought like this, I just instantly was like, right, I need to get this, because I've been looking for Incubus for ages. And it was a triple CD thing, like box, and it had Morning View in it. So that's how I got into Morning View, and I really got to know this album. But then I also got with that Enjoy Incubus, which is like an EP, has a lot of like the Fungus Among Us type songs on it. And what was it? Co-Lift of the Murder, which is actually my favourite Incubus album. Like, no shade at all to Morning View. Morning View is such a stellar album. No pun intended. Like, I love both those albums a lot, and I just cycled through them heavily in my car. And I remember going to somebody who knew about Incubus themselves, and I said, you never believe where I found Incubus? And she said, where? I said, it was in the metal section all along. And her response was, no, well, yeah, of course it was. And I never saw them as a metal band. Obviously, I listened to Enjoy Incubus. So I've got to know Incubus as this very heavy band, and I've also got to know them, you know, from their, like, more recent stuff. The kind of stuff they were putting on, like, their very chill, serene sounds that they had mixed in between things on, like, Morning View and Crow Left of the Murder. And then you get to Light Grenades and Earth to Bella, of course, like parts 1 and 2. And then obviously their most recent 2 albums, I'll admit that If Not Now When was a little slow in places, but I actually quite liked A. I know it gets a lot of criticism, but I actually love that album a lot. I generally find that I love most Incubus like songs and albums, because quite frankly, it's that combination of Brandon's really warm vocals and Mike's like really frenetic, wild guitar parts, and then just everything else is just so perfectly balanced. So it's the musicality and the songwriting, and so yeah, I just love this band a lot, and I really enjoyed going to finally see them. I think I'd been trying to see them for like 10 years when I finally got to see them in 2018. And the tickets for this particular gig came out on my birthday last year. It was like the night before Alien Ant Farm. So that was already in the pipeline. We were going to one gig and then had the next one sort of lined up, which is a rarity these days. I would love to do this kind of thing a lot more often, but you know, it's so expensive now. Like, I don't want to get into that whole conversation, but it is so expensive to go to gigs now. Like, most concerts now cost more than like travel and hotels do. So it's just a bit ridiculous sometimes. This was actually a pretty good price now, considering how like pricey things have got now. Anyway, I'm waffling about like nonsense that's not to do with the music. So on that note, let me show you this skyline because it is actually really cool. This is just a sort of typical standard hotel room. I'm in a Premier Inn. We usually stay in Premier Inn's got good, like decent breakfast. Not trying to advertise Premier Inn too much or anything. It's just, you know, it's a good value. It's a good value is what it is. And the breakfast is pretty reliable. But I'm going to show you the skyline because it is actually one of the best skylines I've had in any hotel I've stayed in London. I've stayed some good places in London, but this is up there just for like the view. Right, so as I mentioned earlier, to the right we've got the Olympic Park, and just over to the left, let me zoom right in a bit, hang on. Yep, there's Canary Wharf. And as you can see, there's little pinprick just over that building there, which is saying like V&A on it, but surely that's not the V&A because that's in Kensington. But yeah, that's the Shard. So like I said, very cool sort of view. But I'm waffling on about this room too much. I did also want to kind of like shoot some stuff when we were out and about. But everything's been so hectic today, just like finding this place even was a little bit confusing. Google Maps is not kind to Westfield Shopping Centre, and to be fair, Westfield Shopping Centre is not the clearest marked place, I would say. Like, you do have to follow your nose quite a bit to find anything. Sometimes literally, if you're looking for the food court, it's better to just use your senses than to try and like figure it out from the internet. But I'm talking enough nonsense, so I'm just going to show you some clips of the gig, and the next time I'll be chatting to you directly, it'll be tomorrow morning.
Talk to you anymore. I'm afraid, but I might stay. She woke in the morning. She knew that a life that lasts her. And for my reassurance, there's so much laughter when everyone is in one down the river, was free from their homes long ago. The crowd is over.
I didn't get to vlog too much yesterday because of how crowded it was, but right now I'm just having my breakfast, or about to, in the Premier Inn. But yeah, I'll go hopefully get some more footage out and about today for some closing shots. But yeah, I'll probably will talk a little bit more about the gig itself in probably by the time I get home. Actually, there's just quite a lot going on. Thing that was only loosely planned and we didn't really anticipate doing, sort of see how it went, was coming to the Tate Modern. And I've just been into this one exhibit that is right up the street of what I wanted to be doing back when I was doing my digital music and sound arts degree. It's a perfect combination of like cultural commentary and documentation and sound, video, and like physical sculpture. And just like it had like 20 sort of speakers around the place, so you felt proper encased in the sound and the culture of Cuba, actually. So I'm trying to think, it was, I'll put the names on the screen, it was something Magdalena, Campos Pons, and someone with an English name, like a very sort of generic name to me. His name I've forgotten, like Leonard something. But yeah, I'll put them on the screen. Yeah, it's really inspiring. So as you can see, I'm back at home, and usually I would have wrapped this video up by now, either, by talking about the gig in more depth at either the train station or on the train or perhaps in a hotel room. And I literally haven't had the opportunity for that. It has been full on all day. Right, firstly, just let me get a rant about like public transport out the way first. Just a really quick one. If the London Marathon is happening, put more than 4 carriages on a rush hour train. It is ridiculous. We were stood up for like a good half hour in a train where we were just dripping with sweat. It was so ridiculous. It was basically a sauna on wheels. And our feet already hurt a lot, as did a lot of people who I saw who were wearing, like, you know, the numbers. Seriously, no forethought at all from, like, Southeastern. But I have another rant to get out of the way, and this one actually relates to Incubus. As you can see, wearing a new t-shirt. It's a nice t-shirt. It was my third choice. As you can see, it's got 26th of April written on it, 2025. It says O2 Arena. It says London. So this t-shirt in particular was very specific to the venue. Let me just talk about why I'm talking about this t-shirt so much. I tend to get a t-shirt every time I go to a gig. Like, not all the time. If I'm completely broke, I won't, like, push my luck. And if they haven't got one, like with Cafe Tacuba, then obviously what chance do I have? But I like to get, you know, the keepsake. And if you've watched my videos for any length of time, then you will probably notice by now that I have a crap ton of band t-shirts from pretty much most of the gigs I go to. It's not like a complete thing that, you know, it makes or breaks the gig for me at all. But when I go through an entire queue, get to the front and find that they've got basically nothing in, and then I go to another queue inside the venue, get 5 places from the front after basically waiting in the queue for the entire support act, and then they start taking down the t-shirts. Put it this way, I screamed no. Like, I got really, really emotionally invested. And yeah, I'm just there 5 places from the front and they take them down. I get, like, the queue disperses at that point. I go forward and they say no, nowhere else is going to have any left. And my wife is an absolute hero. Like, she really, really, really is. She's such a hero. She dumps all her stuff on us and then she pegs it upstairs to, like, the first sort of floor of the O2 Arena. And when she gets to the queue herself, there is literally 1 t-shirt design left, this one, in size large, 3 of them left. She gets to the front of the queue and the O2 staff member who is, like, working the like the merchandise stand just walks off, and she has to divert to the next stand along and cut in front of somebody and say, that person just left, I was at the front of the queue, I want that t-shirt. I don't know if that was how it works, but, like, she basically put her foot down. She could see how much it was, like, it annoyed me. It annoyed me because I was so close and then they just went off. This, by the way, is, like, my third choice out of, like, 6 designs. For context, this one, as I mentioned, is specific to that particular gig. But the other 5 designs, as far as I could tell, weren't. They were just specific to, like, this particular tour. So I've never had it at a gig before. This is, like, a complaint I have, actually, about Incubus's tour management. So I'm going to say it because it is relevant to this. My God. I've never had it where I haven't been able to buy, like, any t-shirt. I've had it where maybe 1 or 2 designs, maybe the design I like has been sold out. Put it this way. We went to the Chili Peppers a couple of years ago and we missed, like, the first 2 support acts. We caught, like, the last 10 minutes of the second one. And we still went through a hell of a queue and got to the front and there was still, like, 4 or 5 different designs of t-shirt to pick from, right? The UK is literally the first stop on Incubus's European tour. And they didn't think, we'll overstock. And even if we do sell out, it's not like buying and printing these t-shirts is going to cost an arm and a leg if we sell them for maybe 20 quid at the end rather than 35. I don't know. I'm not, like, in the business of it, but that's what I would do. Like, Come on. Anyway, let's talk about the gig itself. I've seen Incubus before, as I mentioned, in 2018, and sonically, you can't fault them. Like, you really can't. Like, how they sound in any size room is amazing. Like, it really comes through absolutely clear. The musicianship is fantastic. The songs are written in such a way where it utilizes like the full sort of range of human hearing. Let's put it that way. So like really low bass, really high notes, and then just covering the space in between. It's perfect. But what I will say is, after having seen Incubus twice, this one was good. It's not a complaint about the show itself. The show was amazing. The lighting, like the light effects and everything, it was so, like, you know, I'm not really a person that celebrates the visual side of a band, but this was pretty good. But yeah, we saw them in a smaller venue before, and one thing I have learned after going to a lot of different gigs of different sizes, you know, from like 300 capacity seeing Miyavi to 70,000 capacity seeing Green Day and Chili Peppers, I have learned that some bands really start to struggle once the venue gets a little bit larger at sort of communicating with the crowd a little bit. And I love Incubus, literally one of my favorite bands ever, but I found that this one, some places it did feel a little less personalized in this particular gig. But it's such a small complaint, because in terms of the show itself, oh my god, like it's everything you could imagine. Like, you know, the Morning View album in general is amazing, capping it off with tracks like Anomaly and obviously Drive, again fantastic. But yeah, there was a little bit of like a, you know, just get to the end of a song and just say thank you. It's fine, but it's not what I came to expect of them from the last time I saw them. But yeah, this is nitpicking. The opening act was interesting. They brought in a cellist. I'm pretty sure that she wasn't, her name is Lucinda Chua, and I'm pretty sure that she wasn't the support act that was billed around the time we bought the ticket. I think that she may have been a late addition. I don't know what happened to the original person, but yeah, it was very like serene and sort of stripped back. It was literally just her and a cello, no sort of backing band, no singing, which was interesting. It was, yeah, because, you know, on her YouTube she does sing as well, and so I do feel like the choice was maybe because of a last minute decision, and so the reason she didn't sing is because she wasn't really expecting to at like the short notice that I reckon she got. I did get a very like strong sensation from her that she was just happy to be playing in the O2, and to be fair, it is a pretty big deal, so yeah, good for her. So that's it for the gig itself. I really want to hear about like other people who get to go on this tour. Like, it's still going around Europe for a while, and I'm very much looking forward to the new album, which I think will be coming in September, I think I remember reading. And judging by the sort of screens that were up before the band came on, I'm guessing the new album will be called Something in the Water, or something along those lines. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what that album's going to be like, because it'll be their first one for quite a while, actually. And that's it for the gig itself. Now, I just want to use the end of this video to talk about something a little bit more personal that is still kind of relevant to this trip. But obviously, if you don't want to hear about this, then feel free to check out the rest of the channel. Feel free to like the video, comment what you thought of this video so far. And until next time, have a good one. But I want to talk about this week just gone. I had on Thursday what can only be described as a breakdown. I just felt like I was like my blindness was really starting to get to me, and I felt like I was past it, not just past my best, but like past any kind of level of usefulness, really, and was just so deeply uninspired and unhappy. And I realized that ironically what was causing that was the fact that it had been about 5 or 6 days since I'd put any thought into a YouTube video. I was giving myself a break to, you know, between the last Lemmings video and then recording this vlog. And I just want to put it out there that sometimes I get this really like stressed feeling that like my mental health can be really, really shaky sometimes. But one thing that's really kept me going has been this YouTube stuff. And yeah, like I want to talk about this, but I don't want people to feel like I'm complaining in any way or looking for sympathy. I'm just literally talking, you know. Anyway, the point of all this is, and the reason why I'm talking about it in this video is because I was feeling very fragile when I started filming for this video yesterday morning. I was still feeling like very on edge about how the weekend was going to go, if I was going to be able to let go and enjoy myself. I was going to try to, and luckily I was able to, and you know, the gig was really amazing. I knew it would be, but I just had like doubts for doubt's sake almost. My wife always talks about how inspired she feels when going to London. And I do go to London enough to know roughly what she's talking about, but I didn't feel like even that was going to cut it. I wasn't sure what was going to do it really. But I was right to think that going to see Incubus was going to help in a big way to just give myself a bit of a recharge, a bit of a reset. And then the thing I wasn't expecting was when we went into the Tate Modern today and seeing that art piece that I talked about very briefly earlier on. It's so similar to what I was doing on my degree in a lot of ways. I mean, I was not doing anything close to that level of completion, but that style of cultural documentary and multimedia and sort of sound art and visual arts combined was really what I wanted to do. And I just found that, you know, inspiration sometimes is such a bother. Whether or not I'll ever get around to doing something like that one day, I don't know, but it was nice to sit in the room and to have like the 20 sort of surround sound speakers or whatever, and like really feel like I could put myself in Cuba. Whether or not I do something like this is another story that will just have to unfold over time. Who knows? But it really reminded me of, like, you know, the inspiration that can come not just from going to a gig or going to London, but like from art itself. And yeah, I'm just looking forward now to getting stuck into doing more creative things, even if for now it is just YouTube videos. It's still something. Right, I don't want to end on too much of a downer, so like I say, feel free to comment about the gig itself. Let me know if you ended up going on this tour. Feel free to check out the rest of my channel. I would love to do more concert vlogs like this one. It's few and far in between, but if you haven't watched them already, go and check out some of the other ones I've done. And check out the rest of my channel for retro gaming and other music discussion, as well as other things. And until next time, have a good one.